Welcome to Brand X Reviews. Today we're going to be talking about Spider-Man Far From Home. Now, this was recorded on Skype, so the picture and audio takes a few seconds to kick in.
Noises to start the video.
Are we?
I believe so, yeah. We've been recording for 5 seconds, apparently. So, welcome to Brand X Reviews. The picture might be a bit bad, but it'll sort itself out after a few seconds. So, today we're going to be talking about the new Spider-Man film, Spider-Man Far From Home. So, this is going to have spoilers. Are we doing spoilers in this one? I think by now, because we're not like just doing this from the day one, are we? It's been a few days.
Yeah, I mean, sure, I'll put a spoiler tag in the description, but I don't think we really need to worry about.
Yeah. So basically, obviously, it's the second Spider-Man film, but it's like the fifth film in the franchise, I think, that's had Tom Holland in it. So pretty much had a good kind of run at it in various different ways. Obviously, his introduction, his two standalone films, and his other two appearances in Infinity War and Endgame, pretty big films. So carrying his own film has obviously just been part of it. And this to me, I felt was better than Homecoming. Would you agree or disagree?
I like both of them, to be honest. Yeah, I'd say this one's a bit better because they're a bit more confident in where they were going and so forth. But yeah, like I say, I liked them both, really.
Because it felt to me more like this film was bigger than just him. Because that first film, I mean, that was the whole point of the film. It was him at school and how he balances being a superhero with his kind of Ferris Bueller's Day Off kind of lifestyle that he's got for himself. That was a tone of that movie.
Yeah.
This one continues that, but I think it's a bit bigger than that because obviously you're getting into all the stuff with Nick Fury and so on. Obviously, the bigger picture of Iron Man having passed away, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
This film deals with that pretty well. Anything bad to say about it?
Nothing that comes to mind.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I think that I don't really know where they're going to go with the character in his future films, that kind of thing. Because from what I understand, the contract needs to be renewed. And obviously, later this month, July, we're going to have Comic-Con. So we're going to find out if he's going to be coming back or if they're going to canonize Venom, Tom Hardy's Venom, with this franchise. I don't know quite how that would work. I know we spoke about that separately, haven't we?
Yeah, I'd say it's hard to predict because Sony are a bunch of idiots and do some very stupid things at times. But at the same time, I'm like, I can't really see why they would just throw it all out just because, now we've got Venom, which is doing well. But you never know.
It does feel that way, yeah, definitely. Like they could go down that road because Venom did make quite a lot of money as well. That was the thing. So they could decide, we've got it from here, guys. We don't need you anymore like we once did when we were making like the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies that didn't make as much money as we wanted them to. We've got this now. Bye-bye, Marvel Studios. I don't think they'll do that, but there's always that concern.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they will, just for the simple reason that every time Tom Holland pops up in like an Avengers film or something, that's like money in the bank for them,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
like major kind of boost for the character. I think I'd have to be seeing like a real decline in the popularity of the Marvel films themselves before they'd be like, yeah, let's just do our own thing. But like I say, you never can just predict what people will do.
Yeah. So that's kind of our general feelings of, Tom Holland as Spider-Man and where they might go after this movie. But the actual movie itself, like I say, was pretty damn good, I thought. Definitely distinctive from the first film. I don't think you'd get the two confused because with there being so many Marvel movies, you sometimes think, which was the one where they did this or that? A lot of people, sort of more casual fans, will get the films kind of confused. Whereas this one, to me, kind of stood out a little bit compared to Homecoming. A lot of the same kind of tones were there, but what actually happens in the film is quite different from what we saw in the first one. There was lots of kind of crashy, smashy, which is something, it's a Mark Kermode term, is that when he talks about big blockbusters. There was definitely some of that in this, but I think this I don't know if it felt like maybe the movie was kind of self-aware, because obviously you've got the stuff with Mysterio, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, where all of the crashy smashy stuff is his way of creating a scene, a distraction, whereas that's normally the plot of the film, the ending of the film is usually leading up to all the crashy smashy, whereas in this one, that's just a part of it. What's actually going on behind the scenes isn't stuff's exploding, we need to stop it. It's more a case of stuff's
Yeah, there's
exploding.
no mysterious sky beam shooting up into the sky that they've got to stop in like a certain time. And
Yeah. It's almost like the filmmakers are kind of like, this is what the audience expects. And in the movie, this is what everybody expects to happen. But the truth is, it's actually kind of it's kind of bait and switch in some ways with what's going on behind the scenes.
I mean, I don't necessarily. I mean, I sort of see where you're coming from, but I don't necessarily 100% agree, because I think in some ways it is that the crashy smashy stuff kind of works with the story rather than being like a crutch for a story that's not really there, which can often be like the bad kind of, superhero or action flicks that are all crashy smashy, is because kind of that's all they have, if you get me. Whereas this like had a pretty solid.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And, yeah,
that is what I'm saying. So yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
Yeah, because it felt like there was more to this than that, because that was what you usually would have, and in the movie itself, Spider-Man would expect if he's going to fight somebody, it's going to be about lots of explosions. Whereas in this, it's a bit smarter than that. I'm not saying that the movie's intelligent and smart, it's a Schindler's List or whatever, but it kind of goes beyond the normal, kind of like what they did with the Mandarin in Iron Man 3.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with a crashy smashy, just as long as it's not there purely to carry part of the film because you haven't got anything better to put in it. I'll just throw some special effects in there and we do.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not knocking.
No, it's not going too well. I know. Let's put a advertising company in charge of it and have them turn it into a music video as well as a crashy smashy.
Yeah,
Suicide Squad.
Exactly. No, that's what I mean. I mean, I say I like all the Marvel films, and that tends to be where the films end up with lots of things exploding and so on. But there's always more to it. Whereas in this one, there's specifically more to it, to the point where the big battle royale ending isn't the ending really. That's just kind of a smokescreen for what is actually going on, and it's to do with kind of not a heist, but a hijacking of weaponry and all that kind of stuff, and a company as well.
I mean, it does have. They didn't fall into the trap that would have been very easy with Mysterio of just having massive long scenes of like, oh, this is an illusion that he's doing, and this is all the. I mean, they have a bit of that, but I think they got it just about right. There was enough of it to be like, yeah, this is Mysterio. This is what he does. Like when he's basically like tricking Spider-Man out in front of the train so he gets run over.
Yeah.
Or things like that. It's like. It wasn't all like that, if you get me.
Yeah.
It would have been very easy to do, like, the CGI bit where there's, like, the undead Iron Man crawling out of the ground and big things like... It would be very easy to make a film that was all like that, and it'd be like, well, what's this shit? Like I said, I think they got just the right balance of, like, having that stuff in to show what Mysterio can do and not relying on it.
Yeah. I like the fact that they did some sort of callbacks to previous films. Obviously, there was the BARF technology from Captain America Civil War, but also it's got the guy from the first Iron Man that Obadiah Stane shouts at when he says about Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps kind of thing. It's a bunch of disgruntled ex-Stark Industries employees, basically, which is a very similar thing to the first film as well, because you had the... Michael Keaton character, what was his name? Somebody Toombs. Working class.
Toombs, no, hang on. No.
That was the X-Files.
Is that Victor Toombs?
That was Eugene Victor Toombs was in the X-Files. You non-name remembering motherfucker. He was a guy that could like stretch and like get on. That was
yeah. I know he is.
The guy that could stretch and
like Toombs has got a very like old-fashioned name like that though. I can't remember what the fuck it is. Yeah. So in the comic books, he's literally like an old guy, like a bald old man.
Yeah. But yeah, played by Michael Keaton. And well, that was another kind of downtrodden working class type villain, and maybe not quite so much of that in this, but it was your kind of working people that are disgruntled and had obviously become villains.
Adrian Toomes, that's it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So obviously that was the villain, and his plot is to create a light show basically with lots of drones that are kind of hidden inside a lot of these projections that nobody can see, and obviously the drones will blow things up and they project what looks like a giant villain that's blowing things up and knocking things down when actually it's these drones. Now, what we're going to say about that, obviously the point is that what you think is actually going on isn't actually what's going on, and there's a few little things as well, isn't there, obviously, with particularly the post-credit scene, if you want to talk about
that. We can get to that. Another thing I wanted to say about the Andrew Garfield things is I do like the way they haven't gone back to any of the big main villains that we've seen before. We haven't had a Green Goblin yet. We haven't had the Lizard, who we've only really had in the Andrew Garfield ones. With these, we're having the Vulture, who is a very well-established Spider-Man villain, but he's also somebody that I really wouldn't have thought would make it into a live-action film. And that they managed to do a really good job with him. And again, Mysterio, I thought if they were going to do Mysterio, like I say, it just turned into a load of special effects, and you might as well just watch an animated film at that point. So the fact they managed to do it so well is a very good sign.
Yeah, that's what I mean, because the animation was literally part of the film. It was literally animation. That was kind of what I mean about it. So instead of it being a big CGI show where you're supposed to believe it's real, it's actually not. So like I say, it kind of stood out, kind of not breaking the fourth wall quite that way, but to the point where basically Mysterio is wearing the same thing that, for example, Josh Brolin wears when he's behind the scenes making the Infinity Wars movies as Thanos. He wears a CGI costume that they had all the character in the film. He's wearing it in the film, so it's kind of you get into sort of Last Action Hero territory where the film is almost self-aware to a certain degree, which is pretty clever. I thought,
originally, the character is actually a special effects guy. That's how he kind of
because he was one of the main ones originally, just the same way as the Green Goblin was from my thoughts. Because going back to the cartoons, which pretty much came out only a few years after the comics first started. The character was very new at the time, and they did the cartoons in '67, I think. Because they put a bit more money into the Spider-Man cartoon than they did with Iron Man. Do you remember those cartoons, those '60s ones, where the animation's really ropey?
He's so unglamorous.
Yeah, but the Spider-Man one was done by the same company, I think, but they actually pushed the boat out and actually had proper animation. And Mysterio was one that I seem to remember was in that quite a bit as well. So I guess it was inevitable they were going to use him in the movies. And like you say, they did a good job. They looked pretty cool. So did you kind of get a vibe out of him, Mysterio? I mean, obviously he was quite comic book accurate in how he looked, but they'd kind of done it so he had a bit of thought to him, with the cape and a bit of vision, sort of colour scheme, and Iron Man as well.
Yeah, and kind of, I definitely thought a bit of Doctor Strange, the way he was using his powers.
Yeah.
It's almost like they basically looked at all the different Avengers and put together the stuff they like to make a fake character.
Which is what
exactly what Mysterio was. So, it kind of worked.
Yeah, because it was somebody else that made a point of that. And I thought, oh yeah, when you actually look at it, you can see a bit of every well, not every Avenger in there, but a lot of them.
Yeah. I also basically in this film, they did way more fucking world building than 5 fucking seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. managed.
Yeah.
It was one of the big disappointments I had with that show, but in this they kind of go into detail of what it was like with the 5-year time jump for the people who were kind of snapped out of existence and then turned, including amusing stuff there's a basketball game and you see most of them being snapped away, and then 5 years later there's another basketball game going on because it's a school basketball court, and suddenly everybody that got snapped away just reappears And, like
They
people
call-
running into them and stuff like shit. Where they come from?
Well, they call that the blip, didn't they? I think that
Yeah.
was the return. It was a bit like the time when you vanished without saying a word, and then like a miracle, the core returned. That was a blip.
Funny. Let's keep going so we don't have too long.
Yeah. So yeah, we've only got a few minutes left. So let's talk about the post.
Things like that, and just in general, like the whole like, yeah, we thought Thor was a myth, and now I'm learning about him in physics class. That was kind of a nice little throwaway line, which again does so much for like the world building. Like this is what the reality of the world is now, you know.
Yeah. So yeah, let's talk
yeah.
about the post credits real quick. So there's two. There's one mid credits, one right at the end. So the mid credits basically cuts to Spider-Man in the street, and it cuts to news footage where Mysterio has kind of faked a video of him being killed by Spider-Man, and Spider-Man is the one that was responsible.
Yeah, just kind of edited it together.
And this video is being introduced by J. Jonah Jameson, played by J.K. Simmons, the actor who played him in the original Tobey Maguire trilogy. So I was trying to think of a precedent for this, where they've had a character, the same character played by the same actor, but as a completely rebooted character. I can't think of any examples. I'm sure there are, but I just can't think of them. Can you think of any?
I mean, the only thing I didn't really like about that is that they basically did like a bit of an Alex Jones thing with him. And not getting into like, oh, Alex Jones, like blah, 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 blah. Yeah, fuck all that. Like, I'm not even going to get into that.
Yeah.
It's just like, J. Jonah Jameson is supposed to be like, you're not really supposed to like him as such because he's like, you know, an antagonist of Spider-Man. He's the villain, you know. But at the same time, he's supposed to be incredibly like, you know, he's got like huge integrity. He doesn't like, that's why it pisses him off so much with Spider-Man, because when he can't find the evidence, he can't just manufacture it because that's not the person he is, kind of thing. And also there are times, like, I mean, even just in like the old like original trilogy where like Green Goblin's trying to find out about like Spider-Man and he's refusing to give up like Peter Parker and stuff, even though he's getting threatened by a supervillain. So I did think it was a bit like, I really can't see J. Jonah Jameson being like a InfoWars guy, really. Yeah, like I said, I didn't really like that, but that's a minor niggle, if anything.
But it was cool to see him as a character.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I just couldn't think of a precedent for it. It's going to be very confusing because people are going to think that this is like a continuation. Because a lot of casual fans, it's like, I know somebody who thought that the Dark Knight trilogy was a continuation of like Batman with Michael Keaton, and he didn't understand how. Yeah, but it's Batman. It's not. And some people
it's a complete reboot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, in that scene, he's kind of swinging around with MJ, which was kind of interesting. Very quickly, I do actually find, after finding her really annoying in the first film, she's drastically improved in this as like MJ. She's much less annoying.
Well, she was pretty much like the Ali Sheedy character in The Breakfast Club. I don't know if you've seen that film. I'm pretty sure that's what they were going for. That was another John Hughes film, which is what they said when they did Homecoming. They said it's going to be like a John Hughes film. So pretty sure.
In the first film, she kind of came across as a bit kind of, look, I kind of know annoying people like this on Tumblr. I really don't fucking need them in Marvel films as well. But it's like this time around, it's like, well, yeah, she's more almost but not quite goth. I kind of get where they were going more, and it's like, yeah, actually, I'm way more behind this character now.
Yeah, she
like,
grew on.
Fuck this is not MJ, what the fuck?
And she's a good actress as well, because like she's actually quite attractive in real life, and there's nothing unattractive, but it's just the way she carried herself in the first film, just by having this like scowl, made her look pretty fuck ugly. But she's not fuck ugly, it was just the way she was acting. I think Ali Sheedy had a similar thing with The Breakfast Club. Again, there wasn't anything about her that looked rough. She just looked kind of like unapproachable and not attractive, and it was literally just with her kind of facial demeanor. So pretty good acting, that really.
I mean, certainly the scenes between her and Tom Holland are very. I definitely got that the two of them were like awkward as fuck teenagers. That was like fucking nailed, basically.
Yeah, but we're gonna have to wrap this up. So we're gonna have to mention the post credits. The very post credits. I'll do it because I can whiz through it. Basically, it turns out that the Nick Fury and Maria Hill characters are Skrulls. It's Talos and his female counterpart as well. Not in a villainous capacity. They're basically doing it as a favor for Nick Fury, so he doesn't have to go down to Earth and do all this. They're just kind of covering for him, and they have radio communications between the two of them. and he's just basically sat up on a spaceship wearing slippers and chilling out. So I thought it was
It's also good because if there's any kind of inconsistencies with like his character, it's kind of explained by, well, it's not actually him, it's the Skrull.
Yeah,
so it's like at times you think Nick Fury isn't this dumb, is he? And then it's like, okay, well, he knew all this, but I don't really believe that he knew all this. It's like at the end you find out, no, he really was just lying. He didn't know any of this in advance at all. He was just like lying. So yep. I knew Mysterio was evil all along. Yep, 100%. Yep.
Exactly.
I had no fucking idea. How was I supposed to know?
Yeah, a good way of rounding out Phase 3 anyway. So still don't know.
Well worth a watch.
Yeah. So we better leave there because the videos I'm rendering on my phone, so it's never going to render if we keep going. So yeah, we'll come back for the next video about Marvel films. Maybe if they do the Phase 4 announcement later in the month, we'll come back and we'll just do a video talking about where they might go with that. So cool. Right, we'll leave it there then. I'll just stop recording. Thank you very much for watching.
It was the core. The core left the group without saying a word, and then, as if a miracle, the core returned. Yes.